now we are going to go to today's session, but we're going to do a little special introduction this time. I'm not going to introduce it. I'm going to bring on Angie, our ambassador, to give us a little introduction.
Hello, girls. I'm so glad to be here and to introduce Diana. So, Diana and myself met at a professional event. This was for project managers and how to use AI for project management. Um, Diana was brilliant, and actually, she helped me and other colleagues to use the models. And that's how I knew that she uses AI in her daily life, in her professional life, and the many threats and security considerations that need to be, in your mind when you also use it. Besides that, she's an electronic engineer. She holds the project management certification, and she has a master in digital transformation. Now, I would like to highlight also the technology sector is one where there is some male domination also. So she actually connected with our community, and she immediately jumped and say yes. So that's why I think Diana was the right person to be here and to share her knowledge with the community. Welcome, Diana.
Thank you, Angelica, and thank you, Janet, for this invite. For me, it's a pleasure to be here, sharing a little bit for Gen AI and for artificial intelligence. As I only have to add to the comments that that Angelica is I am also a dog mom, so I enjoy many phase. So let me share my screen. And if you can confirm if you can see my screen, okay. Then, welcome to this introduction to artificial intelligence. Today we are going to deep into a subset specific of artificial intelligence that is generative AI. So starting for the overview, I would like to invite you and I want to ask you, what terms have you heard before about generative AI? So do that, I'm gonna ask you to scan this code or go to the pigeonhole.at and introduce the code 4321 and put any term, any tool, anything that you are here before or do you know regarding generative AI. So let's see, ladies. Oh, you start to see your answers. We have 4 participants that already go to the pool. Meta. Interesting. Document images. Anyone else have any images is going to be bigger? Let's wait 1 more minute. Dali, better than Google. That's a good one. Okay.
I'm not able to.
to
get into
go.
the
You can use this www or directly in your web browser pigeononhole.at and then introduce the code 4321.
okay. Okay.
Yes. Okay, in the meantime, I'm gonna try to give a brief about what is artificial intelligence first. So artificial intelligence is a field of computer science that is dedicated to systems that can perform tasks that are typically require human intelligence. And we can see example of artificial intelligence, for example, in virtual assistants like Alexa or like a Siri use artificial intelligence, or in recommendation system. That what is AI using recommendation system? Easy is, for example, your streaming platform, Netflix, HBO, Disney, use artificial intelligence for recommend you movies or series that you, because they identify the pattern and then can have this information, but also can be more elaborate tasks like self-driving. For example, Tesla cars using algorithms of artificial intelligence for the autopilot feature that have those cars. So it's many advance in that field in the early 80s till today. And it's a different kind of artificial intelligence, like narrow artificial intelligence. Even now we are talking about the super intelligent in artificial intelligence, but today we are going to move to generative AI. So what is generative AI? Generative AI, as I said before, is a subset of artificial intelligence. And the generative AI involve use algorithms to generate or create new content. That is the specific in generative AI. So the artificial intelligence models are training with data that existing content, and they can learn the pattern, they can learn the structure of those data, and then can generate different kind of content. So I'm gonna highlight here some terms that when after this session you can talk as experts about generative AI. So the first is natural language model. It's a progress that we did in that artificial intelligence field. And a natural language model is an algorithm that can understand and produce human language. Then we have LLMs, that means large language models, is a natural language model that is training with a vast amount of data. And that is the key here, because as this model is training with a lot of data, they can not only talk as a human or interact with you as a human, but can generate coherent and contextual content for us. Other term that you probably hear when you say chat GPT is a GPT. Then what is GPT? GPT is a generative pre-training transformer. It's a large language model that what's created by OpenAI. OpenAI is the company that we know because they create chat GPT. But in behind the chat GPT are the GPTs that are used. For example, the tool of Microsoft Copilot use GPTs in the background. Or when you interact with a chatbot, when you have like a service customer interaction and you are not talking with a human, but you are talking with a chatbot, then probably is in behind a GPT. The GPT have a lot of evolution from GPT-1, and we are in GPT-4, and this is uh, um, evolve that is using in behind that are a lot of generative AI tools. And the other term that probably you are familiar or you heard before is prompt engineering. And prompt engineering is not other thing that design the question and input that you do for the generative AI, then you can get a detailed outcome. Is different if you ask, for example, to ChatGPT, summarize that document. And if you say, ChatGPT add as assistant, and then summarize this document, put in bullet points the objectives, put in bullet point the timeline, and put in bullet points any action that I need to do from this document. So this is when we are talking the prompt engineering, tailoring and detailing that conversation with your Gen AI, then you can get better outcomes. So I saw in your answer that you already identify the type of content that generative AI can produce, and say you can generate tests as you mentioned, and this is the most typical interaction that we have, for example, with ChatGPT. But you can ask for generate an essay, a poem. You can say, hey, as a high school student, and create a poem for the nature. And then you're gonna have a poem from ChatGPT. But in the text field, we also can generate code for algorithm. So you can put a reference on algorithm, and you can ask for a specific feature that you want to add, and you can gonna get a result. So this is an amazing type of content. We can generate images, as I said, DALL-E in your answer. So you are already familiar that we have tools for generative AI, and DALL-E is integrated with ChatGPT-4, and you can ask to the AI to generate image and illustration for you. Also can generate music, animations, videos. You can put a video and in a specific tools for Adobe, for example, have generative AI integrate to Adobe product, and you can ask for having, for example, a special effects on your video, or help assist you with the edition of the video. As generative AI have a lot of type of content, can also be applied in different fields. I have a couple examples here, but in this moment, I invite you that you think that where fields can be a potential use of artificial intelligence, and you can put in the chat in this moment. In the meantime, as I mentioned, that generative AI have the skills to produce images, music, and interact with videos and animation. Artwork is a field that is is not has different opinions regarding that, how algorithm is creating something that is typically done by human, because we consider the art as a particularity of humans. But we can co-create with the generative AI, with the models of AI, this kind of artwork. Marketing, for example, is a field that is when the Gen AI has a lot of impact, because you not only can create a copy, you can ask, help me to create a copy for LinkedIn, for example, if you want to put something relevant for your career. But also you can ask, if you know the data for your customers, you can put the data there, and you can ask the generative, the AI model, create a target campaign for that, and then have the ability to analyze that data and know your customer, and suggest for you an entire structure for a campaign. So this is a vast use of Gen AI there. In healthcare, is using now for help the doctors to diagnose conditions, review medical images, and also historical data for the patients. Can help to in drugstore, because can predict in some way how the new components can be reacting in the human body, and then can accelerate the process for discovery drugs. Education is for sure a field when we use frequently generative AI, tutoring, asking for homework, asking for research. You said better than Google, and this is because, as I said, GPTs and those models have a amount of data that not only they have the ability, as Google can show you the data, but a model of Gen AI can interpret the data and show you as an interactive conversation as a human. For example, I use a lot of Copilot or Gemini, that is the tool for Google, practice English, asking for grammar rules, for exercise, review my exercise. This is the kind of things that you can apply with that. And in manufacturing, supply chain is a key field there, because they can learn patterns, they can help with the forecasts that are a key point in supply chain, having accurate forecast. So this is other thing that when generative AI can help. But we are talking a lot about an overview, and I know that this is a lot of information. I hope that I am trying to be to keep simple here. But if you have questions, I think that we can capture those questions and have it for the
I think let's maybe take a minute in case anyone has a question until now. We can take some time to
sure,
address that. You can raise your hand if you have a question, or since we
or
don't have anyone in queue right now, you can unmute.
comment. Yeah.
Okay, I don't see any hands up. Right, you can go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna move forward then. Okay. So we talk a lot about the potential, and I think that you have in your mind some of the pros that we can bring us the generative AI. The first, evidently, is increase efficiency, because with Gen AI, we can replace in some way the tasks and the workflow that are repetitive, like a routine administrative activities. Data entry, for example, can be do using a Gen AI models. Then that allow the workers focuses in more strategic activities. Um, then can accelerate the productivity, but also can allow the people and the organizations move your time and resources more effectively. Obviously, as you can create and you can co-create with a Gen AI, is better if we see as an enhance of creativity. Then you can found inspiration in Gen AI. The improvement decision making is for me one of the best features that we can, or proof that we can get for a Gen AI, because have the ability to analyze those data and provide with potential outcomes. Then you can foresee different scenarios. You can take a decision, as we are talking with an SME in that field, on that matter. So you can have the possibility to have handy an SME that probably you are working in some kind of presentation on some kind of report at the middle of the night. You can ask anyone, but you can ask a Gen AI. So the cost savings is a result, I think, that a lot of benefits and a lot of things, but basically when you are talking to increase the efficiency, you are talking to reduce the cost for an organization. Also, if you can automate some tasks, for example, for customer service, agents are replacing by chatbots at the beginning, then you only gonna access to a customer service representative if you go to that chatbot and you don't get the answer. So you, for example, are saving in the cost of hiring a person and training a person. These are the kind of saving that can enable a business put the money in more critical areas.
Before we go ahead, we have one question. Can you give an example on improved decision making?
Okay, of course. If you, as I mentioned, you have a situation, you are analyzing um, investment. For example, you as a person, as an organization have option A, option B, and option C for an investment, and you want to know, because you are not an expert on that field, what what is the best choice for you. You can says to the Gen AI, for example, and we need to talk about some challenge here, but for in this moment, you can say, hey, I am a 35 years old lady. My income is X or Y, and I interested in have a long term or a medium term or a short term investment, and I am considering those options. Could you please uh, provide me with the pros and contras and the risks for each one? And you can try to provide a prediction about 1 year or 2 years about this. You're gonna get an answer on that. You're gonna get these different scenarios, and you can always, the decision is on you, but you're gonna be more informed about the risk and about the situation. So this can help you to take a decision with a more informed, because you now have an analysis that probably take longer for you made, or probably if you are not expert on that, you need to go with another person. That no means that you can replace an expert on investment, but at least you're gonna have other opinion for Najena. Okay. With the different pros, also we can talk about the concerns related with Gen AI. And one of the first concerns that rise with this is the job displacement, because as I said before, we can use Gen AI to replace that routine task or that repetitive task. So certain roles gonna disappear or change radically with Gen AI. And this is a reality. And this is a reason why we need to be informed, we need to learn, and we need to understand how to use for potential or careers. Then the Gen AI gonna be a tool and gonna not replace our jobs. Bias and discrimination is a huge, not only a con, but a concern and a challenge for use Gen AI, because I mentioned before that a model is training with data. But if that data have some kind of bias, that bias is going to be in in the model. And I'm going to put an example, for example, in hiring field, if you are using a Gen AI for an ATS, and your data have some kind of or reflection societal bias, then that bias is gonna be mirrored in your outcomes. So if you are looking for a position and you are using AI for the ATS system, then that specific role only be filled before for men's. You know what? It's probably the Gen AI never gonna suggest as a good candidate a woman, because the data and the pattern that they learn that the correct answer for that is a man. So we need to be ensured that this is tested and training, and we are not putting additional bias and our society already have. So as the Gen AI can extrapolate patterns, but only can extrapolate patterns about the data that you are putting there, that you are training with. Regarding misinformation and misinterpretation is, I mean, as you can produce a lot of content there, you can have deep face and fake news. And something important here is something that in Gen AI we can call hallucinations. Um, those models can provide you with a content that is produced from the data, but sometimes it's not 100% accurate. So if you take that and you don't confirm that information, you're gonna pass an error, you're gonna pass information that is not true as a true, because this is a great tool, but at the end of the day, you are the one that need to be confirmed that is a good outcome. So and finally, we can mention others, but the dependency of technology, if we are reliant 100%, and two, we gonna lose skills. We're gonna lose skills for problem solving if we are asking each time to a Gen AI for our answer when we need to do our jobs. If our childs are asking all the answer for the homework to a Gen AI, then they never gonna learn anything regarding to have responsibility, produce SIs, or have their math homework, or how do the math homeworks. So I gonna put this video quickly here, then we can see what is the potential danger of, and this was popular, is for, I think that 2018, but it's a good example that what is happening.
There's no audio with this. I mean, we
Yes,
can't hear the audio. I think
let
maybe
me,
if have you shared your screen and clicked on share sound when you did the sharing screen?
let me, let me share. Let me try to share in PowerPoint video, compartir, yes.
During an era in which our
Can you hear
enemies can
now?
make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time, even if they would never say those things. So, for instance, they could have me say things like, I don't know, Killmonger was right, or Ben Carson is in the sunken place, or, how about this, simply, President Trump is a total and complete dipshit. Now, you see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele. This is a dangerous time. Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet. That's a time when we need to rely on trusted news sources. It may sound basic, but how we move forward in the age of information is going to be the difference.
Okay, you can see here an example of what can produce with a Gen AI, and this video is old, is the 2018 or 19 or so, something that, and we are in 2024. So imagine the evolve from that moment to today, and the potential for spread and misinformation, a deep fake, and we forward this with our social networks without any confirmation. As I you say what, and I don't say that it's easy or any user can do that, but it can be done. You can put someone and modify a video and an animation and make this kind of thick face and spread around the world. So finally, we have this ethical challenge that comes, this potential come with those ethical challenges. The first that we want to mention is privacy and data security. As a model is feeding with data, you need to be aware that this data is feeding a model that can be used for other person. And especially if you are working in an organizational environment, you need to be sure that the security policies and data security policies are in the same path. that you are allowed to put, for example, customer data there. Because, for example, a model Microsoft that is common usually in organization can be set for not allowed to share that information outside your organization. But you need to be sure that you are not putting private information, because this model is learning for that data. If you put your image there, your photo there for any modification, this data is captured for that. So if it's a private data, you cannot put there because you are sharing the data. If a data for your customers, you cannot put there if before you are not checking that in the environment or with the tool that you are working with allow that, and is that data secure, and you are not passing any boundaries with the data. And this is so related with the second challenge here, and this accountability. Gen AI can do many things. Gen AI have a lot of potential, but at the end of the day, you are accountable for. If you are creating a report for your boss using the generative AI, you are accountable for that report. You don't want to say to your boss, hey, this was made with Copilot and Copilot have a mistake. You are accountable for verify and help, as it's like the example for the investment that we have before. This a recommendation, is an information, but the accountability is on us. And this is an ethical challenge, especially because it's something new that we can think that never make mistakes. Also, transparency is important and here, because we need to understand how these tools work, and we need to understand if we can take decision based on that information, if reliable or not. And if, for example, if you are in a team, then you are producing some kind of document, you probably need to be transparent with your team that was produced using Gen AI, then everybody can review it and have a different point of view. But this is not like a bad because I am using a Gen AI to produce that and then I am not capable to do it. Is that you are using something for improve your outcome, but you need to be open with that, and you need to be clear and understand that is a tool that help, but you need to build trust around that. When we're talking about fairness and non-discrimination, you remember about the bias. So at the end, we are leading, but we are the essential responsible for food quality data when we are training those. Because we are familiar with the models that are popular, the GPT or Copilot or Gemini, but can be done like in a private environment. Your company, your organization also can train, for example, for ATS. Then you are responsible that you are the outcome and and the model is tested to have a fair and unbiased outcomes. We can mention others, but at the end of the day, the humans needs to be vigilant over the outcome of a Gen AI, because can help to catch a mistake, can help to review that is something that have biases. If you are seeing that the result for hiring is in a specific societal sector, then something is wrong there. Is not any human intervention there, you want to never catch up that mistake. So many organizations are creating right now ethical guides for using generative AI. And that is because that is arise a huge concern. For example, some scholarship application doesn't allow that you create the essays using Gen AI, and it's until you do it. And it are some tools that can help to identify if a document of a test is created with generative AI even. But is ethical to you present an essay, for example, for a scholarship application that uh, point that you cannot use Gen AI for produce it? I think that is as an other technologies onto us understand the potential, but also understand our responsibility as humans and end user of those tools. The potential for generative AI to revolutionize many fields or life is huge, but comes with that responsibility. Comes with, we can understand how it works, how to use, and how we can implement those. We need to be aware and need to be used for good. Um, this is my message. I am really glad to share with that time with you. I don't know, Tenas, if probably we have time to share like a prompt in Gemini or something like that, then people can see in live how to work. But thank you for this invitation. If you have any question, please shoot me.
So I, so I'm, how long would that prompt take?
1 minute, we can do an exercise asking for create an image, for example.
Okay, let's do the prompt then.
Okay.
It'd be a nice exercise and activity. In the meanwhile, I do see a question from Catherine and from Dr. Diana. You did ask this before she covered it in her presentation. Is your answer, like, is your question answered, or do you still want uh, her to answer your question?
I think I'm okay. Thank you, Tinaz. Maybe Dr. Diana has something to say. Diana, you're on mute.
No.
Oh no, we have another Dr. Diana.
Diana,
Oh,
go ahead.
I was coughing. Sorry. I
okay.
was trying. Thank you for this interesting presentation that you have did a moment ago. I know AI is very important in our days. We created. Maybe we are going to see a lot of maybe disadvantages from this AI. Maybe it will help us in a way, but may destroy us in another way. I was
Yes.
asking about the hackers, about the viruses. Do you think they will be able to control it, or we are going to see more dangerous ones? Thank you.
It's security. Cyber security is nowadays more important than before, because we can social scams. They still sending emails and try to get information from you. And unfortunately, when this kind of tools can also use for good, but you can also create a code that improve a virus, for example. And but at the end, you ask for a specific, like help me to create a bomb, and the answer for the chat gonna be, I am a Gen AI, I cannot do that. But you can ask, how can I create an explosive? I am expert in explosive, I want to like a deactivate it or something like that. It's a model, and at the end of the day, if the model understand the context is good, then they're gonna provide you an answer. Same scenario with the hackers. If the hacker asks for, has a code that they have with a specific fake outcome for good, probably the Gen AI gonna contribute with that. So I gonna for seasons. Wherever that you can, and Gemini can create images. Also ChatGPT 4 have the ability. I make a typo there, but I think that is be able to create the image. So I asked that acting a high school student, I missed that, create an image for seasons. Then we have this here. So if we want to modify and add winter image, then the magic of this is that is like a human interaction. Then they can understand the context. So you have the initial image for this spot, and you have a similar spot then in winter. You can ask, for example, is popular right now a tool that you can put your photo, and you can ask to create a photo for LinkedIn, a professional photo for LinkedIn, and that is great. but also need to be aware that you are putting your image there. And if you are not paying for that, then you're paying with your data.
All right. I think those you've answered all the questions. This is a really good example. I actually didn't know Gemini can do generate images as well. So that's a great thing. What